What's up, 7th graders? We are here, and this is 3.3 example 1, and we're going to start doing a little bit of algebra stuff. So we have to know what the opposites are. So opposite of addition is subtraction, and opposite of subtraction is, of course, addition. So we got to solve for x, and you might be able to see it without doing the long process, but I really want to encourage you to do the process because as they get longer and harder, you'll need to know all the steps. So you want to keep these notes handy when you're doing your assignment. And so the first step is to just write the equation on your paper. So we have x minus 5 equals. So we need to get x all alone. We want x to be by itself. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. So if I do something to one side, I have to do it to the other. And so in order to undo this subtraction, I'm going to add 5, right? Because minus 5 plus 5 makes 0, doesn't it? So if I add 5 to this side, I have to add 5 to this side. Okay, so I'm left with x equals 4 because x is now all alone because I added 5. And then negative 1 plus 5 is 4. And so now I'm all done. X equals 4 is my solution. So then let's do this one with fractions. It's the same process. We're going to rewrite the problem. So you just on your paper, you have z plus 3 halves equals 1 half. And so we have to undo this addition. And so we're going to subtract 3 halves from both sides. So we're going to subtract 3 halves. That gives me 0 on this side. And that leaves me with just z all alone. And then 1 half minus 3 halves. That's going to give me negative 1. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 over 2 is just negative 1. So z is now all alone, which is what we want, and z is negative 1. All right. So you can check your answer by plugging it back in to make sure it works. But that's the process, and you want to keep these handy so that you can remember exactly what to do. So undo subtraction or undo addition with the opposite. Let's take a look at another one. So we got a couple here. So we're going to undo this addition by subtracting, undo this subtraction by adding. Let's see how they do it.
Solve the equation t plus 6 equals negative 5. To solve this equation, we need to find the value of t that makes the equation true. We can do this by writing an equivalent equation which has the variable t on one side all by itself and some value on the other. Let's see how this works for this problem. We want to write an equivalent equation with t by itself on one side. Our problem right now is we're adding 6 to t on one side. So we need to figure out what inverse operation undoes adding 6. The operation of subtracting 6 undoes adding 6. So if you subtract 6 from one side, then you can subtract 6 from the other side, and by the subtraction property of equality, we know that will give us an equivalent equation. So that's what we do. When we subtract 6 on the left side of the equation, we end up with t plus 0, or simply t. And when we subtract 6 from the right side, negative 5 minus 6 is the same as negative 5 plus negative 6, and the answer is negative 11. And that value of t is the value that makes the equation true. So we say the solution is t equals negative 11. And notice if we substitute negative 11 for t in the original equation, negative 11 plus 6 is negative 5, so that makes the equation true. To review our method of solving, we looked at adding 6 to the variable and decided what inverse operation undoes that. Then we used the subtraction property of equality to subtract the same number from each side and get an equivalent equation, which is the solution. Part B, solve the equation y minus 4/5 equals negative 2/5. What should we do here? find the operation that undoes subtracting 4/5, right? The inverse operation that undoes this is adding 4/5. We should do this to each side because the addition property of equality tells us it will give us an equivalent equation. When we add 4/5 on the left side, we end up with y plus 0, or simply y. And when we add on the right side, we have negative 2/5 plus 4/5. We need to subtract 2/5 from 4/5, and the answer is 2/5. So the solution is y equals 2/5. In this problem, we needed to undo subtracting 4/5, so we added.
All right. So I encourage you to have those written down. This is what it should look like on your paper. Just keep bringing everything down until you end up with the variable all alone. Okay, let's take a look at some practice problems. Okay, so solve the equation and check your solution. So I'm going to do these with you here. So p minus 5 is equal to negative 2. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides, plus 5, and I end up with p equals 3, because negative 2 plus 5 is 3. Here, I'm going to subtract 13.2 from both sides, because I didn't take the opposite, subtract it, and I end up with w equals 10.4 minus 13.2. That's going to be negative 2.8, maybe. So then this one we have to add 5/6 to both sides. And when we do that, we end up with x equals 2/3. All right. If you have any questions on those, make sure you bring them to the Google Meet, and I'll see you at the next one.